Namaskar. Welcome back. Today I'd like to give a new insight that I've had about something that I've talked about quite a few times, and that is once I was reading a passage in our master's writing where he said that remembering that the divine consciousness is always witnessing you is the greatest secret in the universe. And I think many of you who have been in Ananda Marga for a while have, of course, heard this before. It's a very important ideation, and I had this new feeling about it, which I would like to share. But I'm going to start off by reading a passage from that small little orange book called The Thoughts of P.R. Sarkar, which talks about this, and then we'll move on from there. So here it is. Now, the Supreme Consciousness is the supreme witnessing entity. Whatever your individual consciousness is seeing or feeling, everything is being witnessed by the supreme entity. Suppose you are imagining a rhinoceros in your mind, and that rhinoceros is moving within your mind. Whatever that rhinoceros is doing, you are seeing. Whatever that rhinoceros is thinking, you are hearing. Whatever the rhinoceros does, then and there, it is being witnessed by you. No activities, no thought waves of that rhinoceros are a secret for you. You know everything. So, whatever is being done in the universe is nothing but a mental creation of the Supreme Consciousness. Everything is within his mind. He is the macrocosm, and everything is microcosm. Each and every person is moving within his mind. Everything is within him, nothing is without. So whatever is being done, he sees, he knows, he feels. This universe is nothing but a mental projection of that Supreme Consciousness. So that's the idea, and Sri Sri Anandamurti gives a beautiful image for that. The idea that just as you, as the rhinoceros or any other thing that you imagine within your mind it's your own mental creation. So you create it, you sustain it, you withdraw it. When you stop imagining it, it disappears. So its entire existence is dependent upon your imagination. And because it is your own internal mental creation, so you know everything about it. And that's exactly what's happening within the mind of the Absolute, within the Supreme Consciousness. The entire universe exists in the same way as the internal mental idea being created, being sustained, and when the infinite consciousness stops thinking about it, it disappears back into the source from which it came. And similarly, just as we know everything about whatever we imagine, so the Supreme Consciousness, which is imagining this universe, knows everything about what we think, do, feel, etc. So that's the basic idea. And the instruction elsewhere was that we should always remember this, that we are being witnessed. And I think the original form that I read it in was, remember that the Supreme Consciousness is always seeing you. I like this form here a little bit better, that the Supreme Consciousness is the supreme witnessing entity. That word witnessing somehow it gave to me this feeling of not just seeing as in somebody watching you, but witnessing in the sense of I am the witness to your existence, right? And then taking that a little bit further, the word that came into my mind recently was validate. So that witnessing is what validates the existence of everything. Without that witnessing, if you weren't witnessing the rhinoceros in your mind, would that rhinoceros exist? No. So the existence of your internal rhinoceros depends upon your witnessing. So in a sense, you validate the existence of that internal rhinoceros. So without you, the witnessing entity, that existence wouldn't be there, it wouldn't be validated. So now when I reflect and meditate, now Sri Sri Anandamurti said that this is an important idea and it is the key to meditation, right? So to succeed in meditation, meditation should be based on this approach. Not that I am the doer, I am meditating on the Supreme Consciousness, but the Supreme Consciousness is witnessing me, validating me. It is the cause at this moment of my existence. Right in this moment now, I am being witnessed, and that is the only reason why I exist. I exist because I am being witnessed. And that word validate, right? So when I meditate on the Supreme Consciousness, then I am being witnessed and I am being validated and I am being kind of created. I'm being imagined, right? In this moment, I exist because the Supreme Consciousness is imagining and validating me. So basically, that was the idea that I wanted to share with you. Hold that thought in your mind when you meditate. Think of the infinite, think of the divine. Imagine that it is witnessing you. Remember that it is witnessing you. And remember that that witnessing is why you exist in this moment. It is what is validating and sustaining your existence. Without it, you have no existence, just as the rhinoceros in your mind has no existence the moment you stop witnessing it or thinking about it. And as one looks towards the power which is creating and sustaining you in this exact moment, as you look towards that which is validating you, that is a very special feeling and a very special relationship. That is how it should be. And that begins to undermine and dissolve one's sense of separate existence, the sense of separate existence of one's ego. The ego to exist depends upon this feeling of it's validating itself. As Descartes said, I think, therefore I am, right? And what this idea is saying is that you, the divine, think, therefore I exist in this moment. So holding this thought of being witnessed, of being validated, of being created and imagined in this moment undermines this separate ego sense and helps reduce, dissolve the ego until eventually one simply returns to one's source. And having that feeling, I think I was inspired by a comment that our master made that human beings are like a Japanese doll, right? So the Japanese doll, there's a figure in dark clothes standing behind this very large classical Japanese dolls called bunraku. And they operate the doll from behind. So I wrote a little poem about that, and it goes like this. It's called The Puppet. He was handsome, brave, and wise, beloved hero of 1,000 knights. But I shall never forget how he stumbled the day that dark-haired puppet turned and looked into his maker's eyes. So that is what we are being encouraged to do, to turn and look in your maker's eyes. Look at the source, which is imagining you, sustaining you, validating you, witnessing you. And that, probably more than anything else, helps you accomplish the goal of yoga, which is to transcend that sense of separate existence and allow the ego to dissolve back into its source. So I think that's a beautiful thought. Thank you for joining us. Have a lovely week. Namaskar.